It's time for the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is the voice of the working class, Rick Smith.
And welcome, brothers, sisters, working class heroes. This is the Rick Smith Show. Thanks so much for being here. Today on the big program, lots to get to, lots to talk about. President tweeted out today, to have the best economy in the world, you've got to have the best infrastructure in the world. That's why we're making historic investments to get America moving again while creating good jobs and using American materials. And folks, it's about damn time. And music to this person's ears. This is something that I've been talking about for, all of the 18 years I've been doing this. We need to create jobs here at home, building the things that we need. We need to be investing heavily in infrastructure, creating those jobs that we need that have a pathway into the middle class. Understand, Biden is the first president in my lifetime. Think about this for a second. I'm 56. He is the first president in my lifetime that's saying a college education shouldn't be the only pathway into the middle class, that work has value, that your labor has value, and you should be able to make a good living working. That is an about face. Over 40 years of political messaging is, well, no, we don't need those dirty manufacturing jobs. We're all going to get PhDs and we're all going to get corner offices. And look, I've been saying for a long time, we need this kind of about face because we got a lot of stuff that needs to be rebuilt. But we're now in an economy where no longer will one income suffice. No longer, I don't think two incomes suffice. I think we're in the three income territory just to survive. Everybody I know has got a side hustle because the reality is corporations have crushed wages and crushed benefits. And they've thrown us all these gimmicks and all these, this is your lifeline. You can be a millionaire. And I was looking at this graph put out by an economist over at the group called American Compass. They are a conservative economic think tank. Very different from the free market think tank that we had on last night, but they're a conservative economic, their idea is conservative economics. And they put out this infograph saying, look, something's wrong. Over the last 40 years of economic growth, where has it gone? And they point out that corporate profits per capita have gone up 188%. GDP per capita has gone up 91%. Labor productivity, the work that you and me and everyone else does, up 107%. So when you know this, you know corporate profits are up 188%, productivity is up 107%. In order for corporations to have that massive share of the economic pie, what do you think the average wage went up over the 40 years? And this is a conservative economic think tank saying just 25%. So now remember, from the end of World War II up until about the middle 70s, you had very strong union density. You had people attached to jobs. The idea of a 40 years and a gold watch and a retirement pension, that kind of stuff was a reality. 40 years of supply-side voodoo Reaganomics and all of the economic gimmickry that's been shoved down our throat has taken that productivity from working people and handed it to the very wealthy and the corporate profiteers. That's the reality. And today I was supposed to have a conversation with someone about AB 5 out of California and the idea of independent contractors and misclassification and all of this stuff, but turned out to be one of the most difficult attempts to book a guest that I've ever had in 18 years of doing this. I have booked 3 guests a day 5 days a week for 18 years, and never have I had the difficult time that I had today. And I just gave up. I said, you either do it or you don't. Because look, I think we have to talk about employment law in this country. I think we have to find some consensus to move us in a direction so that we are no longer pitted against each other, that regardless of where you are in the economy and you're a worker, we're moving towards gaining power. We're moving towards getting our productivity compensated. The fact that a conservative economic think tank is saying, yeah, labor productivity went up over 107% over the 40 years period span, and your wages only went up 25%. Corporate profits, again, 188%. Somebody's doing really well. And like I said yesterday, when Warren Buffett said, look, who's doing well in this economy? I am. Guys like me. The Forbes 400, who have seen their wealth, not just double, quadruple, 25 times. I don't even know the word for 25 times it growing. Did your income grow and your wealth grow 20? No, of course not. And we're sent these binary, you got to be for or against something. And when someone's against something, I want to know what they're for. I want to know if there's room to move. I've always been someone who's said, I'll talk to anybody about anything because I want to learn things. I want to hear different perspectives. And it just, the Twitter sphere just did what Twitter does. All of the trolls came out with, I'm looking to score points. And I just walked away from it. Done. Because here's the thing. Look, I'm a small business owner. This radio show, small business. Everything you see put on every night, I did it. I'm the guy. We distribute it to stations who freely carry it, put it on their airwaves. We podcast, we do speaking engagements, we do all kinds of things to raise revenue. We don't work for anyone other than ourselves. And this is where this idea of this AB5 comes from. And I'm a big fan of the ABC test. I'm a big fan of ensuring that we don't take jobs that are currently done by workers and put them in a situation where, hey, you're your own boss, because I lived that. I watched the trucking industry go from a heavily unionized, good-paying, solidly middle-class, family-sustaining wage career to being, well, sweatshops on wheels, where people are literally, virtually slitting each other's throats for pennies. And again, none of this is new. I go back, we're just reliving 100 years ago. The Teamsters. I've been a Teamster for over 30 years. The original origins of the Teamsters were horse people who had their team of horses who would pull people's wagons. They were independent contractors. They were their own boss. They organized for better wages, hours, conditions. They came together as working people, not business owners, but as working people going, hey, we want better wages, hours, conditions. We want security. And what's happened is, this is another one of these gimmicks that have been thrown back at us to divide and conquer, to keep us pitted against each other. Because look, freelancers under the law can't organize. They can't union. Who they negotiating with? We should be. We should have a freelancers union of people who are doing freelance kind of work. Like, my electrician that came and did some work at the house. He's his own boss. And the ABC test for me is a simple enough test. It basically says that you, the owner, if you will, you own the business. You perform the work as a course of your business that the person you're working for doesn't do, and that you control independence over your working conditions. Now, I throw this out as one of the reasons AB5 really caught attention was because of FedEx. Everybody knows FedEx. The FedEx driver comes to my house. He wears the purple outfit. He drives the purple truck. He's plastered with the FedEx. It's a FedEx driver. He doesn't actually work for FedEx. He's his own boss. He's an independent contractor. He works for a third-party logistics company. There's the Amazon driver who comes to your house. Doesn't actually work for Amazon. And this is where I go, There are conversations to be had on what kind of employment law we want to have, but this blind, we can do nothing, is insane to me. So I was hoping to have this conversation about, okay, are there acceptable, are there reasonable ways to go, look, we want to ensure that people who work in warehouses aren't considered independent contractors, are going to have to show up with their own forklift. Or the grocery store, the clerk who's bagging, sorry, it doesn't work for the grocery store. He's an independent contractor working for your tips. I mean, is that where we want to go back to? And here's my problem. Because look, there are reasons to be for AB5 and there's reasons to be against them. The reason to be for it is, clearly being an employee comes with greater amounts of security and stability, comes with, minimum wage laws, comes with maximum hour laws, comes with workers' compensation laws, unemployment, all this stuff. And in fact, I remember when I was 18, my first experience as a subcontractor, what we called back then, an independent contractor, my own boss, was swinging a hammer. I was building houses over a summer. And a guy shot me in the foot with a nail gun. Hurt like, shoe bloody, terrible. And the foreman's like, well, I don't know what to tell you. I go, well, I'm going to the doctor. He goes, well, it's on you. Because they had no responsibility for any accidents that occurred. Because, hey, you're your own boss. Congratulations. So having that security is something that you would want. Now, the reason to be against it is, look, I want to do what I want when I want because I'm of sufficient capability to lead my way, and that's great. But that's not every working person. And the trucking industry is a perfect example of that. And I've got hundreds of stories of independent contractors, their own boss kind of stories that I've come across over the years. But I'll never forget the guy who on Christmas Eve was standing in his underwear on his shoes in a truck stop bathroom, bathing in the sink because he didn't have the $5 to take a shower because the company didn't pay him and didn't give him enough fuel to drive home. Now, he's his own boss. He's an independent contractor, yet they didn't pay him. They wanted to keep him in that spot till after the holidays, and they did. Or the guy that I met from MS Carriers one night, who told me that in 7 years, that truck was going to be his. All he had to do was work for half of the going rate to be able to pay the lease and the insurance and the fuel and the tolls and all of the upkeep and all the maintenance and all the breakdowns and all that. But the truck was going to be his in 7 years. And I kind of broke his heart by telling him in 7 years, the truck's going to have 1 million miles on it. And you're going to be responsible to cover the costs of doing rebuilds. It's huge. Are you saving for that? Because understand, these independent contractor schemes, if they were good for you, corporate America wouldn't be doing it. It's good for them to shift costs and to shift responsibilities and to do what they've been doing. But here's the thing, and again, we can fight over this, and we can be against each other, and we can eat each other, and we can call each other names, and we can be horrible to each other. We can do that, and we do it well. We're very good at it. But the reality is as robotics took away a lot of manufacturing jobs, AI is coming for the rest of them. They're coming for doctors and lawyers and computer programmers and accountants. In fact, I just saw a story today that pointed out that ChatGPT evidently took the radiology exam and got a 69 out of 70. And I guess this was a little while ago. The upgraded version, this GPT-4, it scored an 81% on this radiology exam. And it got me thinking, at what point do we as humans do nothing? Now, I know writers. I know a lot of writers who, I use the AI to, for a little creativity, and then I make it my own. Understand, my freelance writer friends, in my lifetime, you will be obsolete. So as we're fighting each other over the crumbs left in this Hunger Games known as our worker economy, we're not building the kind of power that we should be, and the kind of power that's going to bring us together and demand a portion of the profits that our labor does create. Because when a conservative think tank says, hey, something's wrong, corporations are taking 188% of the pie, while labor productivity is over 107% up, but wages are only up 25%. When they're saying something's wrong, when they're sounding the alarm, the people who brought us the bad ideas that got us here, you know things are not great. But I want to hear your thoughts. Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. Going to take a quick break. Right back after this. Stick around. You're listening to The Rick Smith Show. For working people. Come to talk.
From the steel mills of Pennsylvania to the auto factories of Michigan to the modern makers movement, manufacturing makes our nation great. I'm Scott Paul, president of the Alliance for American Manufacturing. We bring business and labor together to advocate for policies that everyone can agree on. Together, we can strengthen manufacturing and create good-paying American jobs. Help us keep it made in America.
The old factory towns in America's heartland have been taking a beating. Thing is, though, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Unions are making a comeback. More organizing in the last couple of years than in a long time. And the Biden administration being more supportive of unions than any president since FDR. We're finally turning things around after 40 years of screwing over working people. But will we keep moving in the right direction? That's our choice as Americans.
We are AFGE, the American Federation of Government Employees. We represent 700,000 federal and D.C. government workers who are the vital threads of the fabric of American life. We support our nation's military. We take care of our nation's veterans. We protect our nation's borders. We respond to our nation's crises and natural disasters. We provide services to our nation's seniors. The American Federation of Government Employees. We work for America.
Calling all builders, all welders and roofers, engineers and electricians. Calling all brick masons and boiler makers, steel workers and steam fitters. Your country is calling you to rebuild America, to create a cleaner, safer, more prosperous future for all. Tackling climate change, this is the job of our lifetime. It's time to build back better. Let's get to work.
So Marianne, listening on KTRC in Santa Fe, New Mexico, writes, Rick, love that finally someone is talking about the dangers of AI and not the rose-colored glasses stuff we've been lulled into believing. I want to get your thoughts on this statement by Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI. And what she quotes here is the U.S. should require companies to be licensed by the government if they want to develop powerful artificial intelligence systems. This is, and she says, have you ever heard of such a thing? This should be frightening. This is the AI guy going, this is dangerous. Maybe we shouldn't have this kind of unregulated power. Maybe you should, hey, legislature, hey, Congress, hey, anybody. Maybe this isn't great for us. Maybe we don't. and I agree, maybe we don't. Think about the millions of people who are going to lose their jobs. Think about education. Just take education for a moment. When there's no longer a teacher sitting in front of the classroom and you have an AI bot who's been programmed by whomever. Consider, the theocrats that are running for school boards right now having access to everything. Or if you're on the other side, the craziest way out far lefty who's, going to fill your mind with socialism. Imagine that kind of power. Now, there's going to be no checks on that. And there's going to be no jobs in that. And understand, education is important. I've talked to friends who are professors who, say, look, this is in the classroom already. Talking to my daughter, who said that she believes her teacher would know, but get into a university setting with 300 students in a classroom. AI, and in fact, my producer who said we should do a PhD program with a non-existent person and just use all AI, because that can happen. We should be really concerned, because when they finish off public education, which is the goal, because if you don't have critical thinkers, if you don't have people who can think outside the box creatively, which the reality is AI may be doing that. More than just the functionality of putting food on the table, it's leading a decent life. It's looking at things and being able to analyze information that's being thrown at us, to be able to pick and choose, to filter. If everything that we're doing is now going to be, I don't know, done by a computer, what does 20 years hold for us? Which is why, Marianne, I got to tell you, I've been freaked out by it, and I'm hoping somebody will, in Congress, wake up. And as I said yesterday, I want to see a technology adjustment tax. That if people lose their jobs because of AI, and this is where my freelance friends, the little brigade of insaniacs who went on the Twitters today, this is where you could actually make some good, and start saying, hey, maybe I can save my job. Maybe I can save industries. Maybe I can do something. Just kind of a thought. But we should be concerned. And when the CEO of a company is saying, hey, regulate us, that's pretty historic, don't you think? Don't you think it's pretty remarkable when a CEO goes, yeah, we've got this thing. This thing is pretty big. This thing's pretty important. You should probably do something. You should probably help us. Just, kind of a thought. I don't know. Just kind of a thought. Let's go to the phones. Got Eric from Minnesota on line 1. Eric, how are you today?
Doing good, Brother Rick. How are you?
I am living the dream. What's on your mind, brother?
No, that's fantastic. Just wanted to add to the conversation about, the whole AI and self-driving, thing and whatnot. And honestly, you're absolutely right. We need to start organizing and then waking the hell up, because it's a sell job, and what they're doing is they're using this as a tool to try to break everything that we know and have fought for over the years and everything we hold dear. It's, to me, I was originally from California. We heard this stuff, since like the 90s. Same thing with like self-driving cars and trucks. You never hear them talk about bounded versus unbounded, but that's not the point. The point is there are material reasons to be worried about this, because you're exactly right. They're trying to bust unions. They're trying to say people are irrelevant, and that is BS with a capital B and a capital S. And we need to start saying, you know what? If you're going to say this, and you're going to start, because you know what? I'll tell you what, we buy it, but now we want this. And we need to start pulling ourselves together, pulling together the war chest, the old, strike fund, because the irony now is that they can't stand to lose money for like a quarter. But if we can hold out for at least a quarter, half a year, that would just about break them. But that's the mentality we have to have. And I think we're right, kind of on the edge. Just redirect people's anger. Or
politically, we have to get our heads out of other people's business. I don't care if you wear a dress or what bathroom you go to. We better figure out how we're going to protect our livelihoods.
Oh, it's exactly right, because nobody going to the bathroom or what bathroom they use, because I'd like to think we live in America, and I've told a number of people, and it's actually interesting responses. I tell them, with some choice expletives, of course, hey, look, you take that, commie blankety blank back to wherever the blankety blank you came from, because here in America, you can basically, if you want to call yourself X and Y, you can call yourself X and Y. I'd like to think that's why we live in the United States.
Yes, sir.
But you know what? If that's not what you think, you get, I'll show you the door. But again, you're not totally trying to change their mind right away. You want to plant the seed, and that's exactly right. My paycheck doesn't depend on somebody wearing or not wearing a dress.
There you go. Appreciate the call, Eric. Thanks so much. Got to take a quick break. Right back after this. Stick around.
I've been driving buses for 5 years, and My day-to-day routine is I wake up a little earlier than most people. I get on a bus, I go out, I pick up some students and make sure they get to school nice and safe. Here in Fairbanks, Alaska, that can be a challenge because of the winter weather and the icy roads. But I love the job. So the Teamsters are great. They provide us a lot of protections. They've always taken care of their people, made sure that our jobs were secure. We didn't have to worry about whether or not we'd have a job from day to day.
And that's amazing because before we'd be working 4, 6, 8 hours a day and only earning minimum wage was real difficult to make a living. Then the Teamsters pushed a law so we make something we can live off of and not have to have a second job. What absolutely gives me peace of mind. The union membership allows me to focus on this job without having to worry about whether or not my family is going to be taken care of. I'm Andrew Case and I'm proud to be Teamsters Local 959.
I am a member of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. I feel very connected to my West Virginian roots in being part of a union. We've always been known to generate energy here. Renewable energy would definitely help generate jobs and get people back to work. If we don't start bringing in more jobs, more and more people are going to leave. Solar, wind, hydro, these can help reinvigorate West Virginia's economy. It's time to give West Virginia a chance.
Before we close the program, we want to take a moment to thank our viewers and to share a little bit about why we do what we do. At the Rick Smith Show, we believe that media today is almost entirely controlled by corporate greed. So we have now 24-hour news channels. But instead of 24 hours of news, what we get is 1 hour repeated 24 times, and with tons of commercials creating obscene amounts of profits. Information once presented as a public service has now become a private commodity. So when lies make money, lies are what we get. We get a corporate-controlled rage machine feeding us anger and hate, trying to convince us that our problems are right, left, or red, blue, when they are and always have been up, down, the wealthiest 1% versus the rest of us. Our goal is to be an alternative to that machine, not as a news show with a fancy journalist out front, but as a talk show run by a union truck driver and a team of working-class heroes just like you. Everything we do, both what we get right and what we get wrong, is dedicated to advancing the interests of America's working families. No corporate ad buys, no think tanks, no focus groups, no talking points. We are media by working people, for working people. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you back here next time.